The next presentation in the Lead Marketing Conference deals with end-to-end automation. We have two speakers, Andrew Freeman, Global Director, E-Commerce Capability for the Kellogg Company, and Guru Hariharan, Founder and CEO of Boomerang Commerce. Gentlemen, the podium is yours.
Great. Thank you very much. Andrew, do you want to give a quick intro about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Andrew Freeman. I am the Global Director of E-Commerce Capability at Kellogg's. My remit includes basically all of our capabilities that we go to market with, which are, obviously digital shelf and analytics and insights and, different components as well as B2B commerce platforms, et cetera. I've been in the industry for over 16 years now. Started out on more of the retail side of e-com, running e-com companies, and then sort of moved over into technology and then eventually into CPG.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. And hello, everyone. This is Guru. Welcome, everybody, to the virtual session about how Kellogg's leverages end-to-end automation to drive increased revenue in their Amazon business. My name is Guru. I'm the CEO and founder of Boomerang Commerce, and very excited to be here with Andrew. Andrew and I are going to be sharing with you both strategy insights that you can take with you for 2019 planning, and also tactical things that you could do today to grow on Amazon. As for my background, I worked at Amazon at the inceptive stages of Amazon's supply chain and merchandising organizations. I also co-founded one of Amazon's cloud businesses and established Amazon's first B2B marketing channel and invented Amazon's Selling Coach, which helps brands and sellers to be successful on Amazon. And a few of us from Amazon started Boomerang about 6 years ago, and we've built large-scale technology that powers automation through artificial intelligence for top brands and retailers. Our first phase as a company was to work with retailers through dynamic pricing. We count 5 of the top 10 retailers as our customers, and the list includes Kroger, Home Depot, Lowe's, Nordstrom, and Staples.
Okay, here's our first poll question. Do you manage your Amazon business? And if so, what is the size of your Amazon business? Please select an answer and hit submit. Okay, the answers are coming in. Guru, you can pick it up whenever you'd like.
Sounds good. Let's then move to the next. And as a reminder, if you're submitting the answers, we'll be sharing these results in an aggregated summary fashion after this webinar. So continuing our story, I wanted to just quickly introduce the company and then hand it over to Andrew to hear more about Kellogg's. With our experience and learnings in helping retailers through our technology, about early this year, we were approached by leading consumer brands to see how we can help them with e-commerce and the Amazon business, and that led us to launching CommercelQ product for the consumer brands sector. CommercelQ technology is driving growth for top-tier brands on Amazon today. Our customers include Kimberly-Clark, Mondelez, Hamilton Beach, Bayer, and Logitech, and we are powering more than 500 brands at this point. And I'm very excited to have one of our key customers and partners over here at Kellogg's with us today. So from a Boomerang standpoint, and what is CommercelQ? I just wanted to give a quick introduction to that. We are an end-to-end automation platform that enables consumer brands win on Amazon. Now, why did we build an automation platform? And this leads into a lot of the thesis about how to win on Amazon. As many of you know who work with Amazon are aware that Amazon's really an algorithm. It's a machine that you have to figure out how to work with. And Amazon being a machine is both good and bad news. The bad news is that traditional techniques that you've perfected over decades in working with brick and mortar retailers will just not work. For instance, you've built a team that can negotiate great deals with the merchant team at Kroger, at Target, at Walmart stores. But enter Amazon, first of all, good luck finding somebody to talk to. But even if you reach someone, he or she has very little or no authority to change any prices or even create purchase orders. Even world-class brands who've been very successful in brick and mortar, from Dyson to General Mills, we find them struggling and failing on Amazon because they've tried to apply brick and mortar techniques. But while that's all bad news, let's get to the good news. The good news of an algorithm is that it's predictable. You can win big if you know the formula and maximize the inputs into the formula. And we at CommercelQ have created an intelligent machine that works with e-commerce sales channels. Our best customers, including Kimberly-Clark, have been able to recover and gain up to 20% in revenue in just one quarter by applying some of our machine techniques. I'll now hand it over to Andrew to talk about how Kellogg leverages Boomerang and CommercelQ to drive profitable growth on Amazon. Andrew, over to you.
Great. Thanks, Guru. So first I wanted to just sort of level set and let people know from our perspective, from the Kellogg's perspective, look, e-commerce is a huge focus for us, and it's only growing. It's recognized by our board and our C-suite as must-win areas for the business to continue growth and, in an increasingly competitive environment. When looking at the slide, you'll see some of our iconic brands. There's some that aren't on this slide. For instance, this does not indicate our snacks business, which includes Pringles and Cheez-It. We also own our X-Bar, which is a recent acquisition, and we also have the Kashi brands, which is on this slide. There are several brands that live underneath. It's important that all of our brands do well across all channels, both pure play and omni-channel. So when we're looking at e-commerce in general, we are looking more at an omni-channel view today, as I think that's how most CPGs have progressed. I think initially a lot of CPGs were looking at the pure plays like Amazon strictly, but over time we're seeing that shift. Amazon is definitely among our top 5 priority channels in omni-channel. So still very important to us, still something that we have to win at and excel at. I would say, within the increased expansion into omni-channel, the grocery space is rapidly taking off right now. I think the most recent number I've seen is we're around roughly 2.8% adoption in the marketplace. The tipping point across other channels is traditionally around 3 to 5%. So we're really getting there in grocery. So I think we're only going to see the importance of e-com and omni-channel go up exponentially over the next couple of years. And like I said, Amazon truly is one of our top 5 priorities in our North America market. It's in the pure play space. I mean, it really is number one. So they truly are our most important customer here in North America. Now, obviously, outside of North America, there are different players in the space. So, when you start thinking in Europe, when you start thinking in Asia Pacific, Amazon from a grocery perspective is a smaller player. So you do also have to think about, larger players like Ocado, Leclerc, Tesco, Alibaba, JD, Coupang. There are a lot of different opportunities out there. But for the purpose of today's call, we're going to mainly focus on our Amazon and our North America business.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. That's super impressive set of brands, obviously. So I'm just, I'd love to just tee you up on how your business was set to tackle Amazon, especially early this year prior to thinking about automation. Perhaps if you could shed some light on that, that'd be great. And before that, there's a poll question again for the audience. We can, if you want to get that, we can skip to the result, but maybe, and it would be great to understand how you were set up prior to thinking about automation.
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, we have a very small Amazon team, right? We're pretty small and nimble in Kellogg's. compared to some of the other CPGs I've been in before. So I've previously been at Mondelez and also at Kimberly-Clark. So, being small and being nimble requires, technologies and capabilities to help us. However, when you look at how we have historically been sort of structured as a company, we've been a little bit more siloed. There's sales, there's marketing that works with our agencies, and there's the operations side, which is supply chain. But ultimately, when you have a small team, you really have to find a way to work together well and to sort of break down those silos. And I kind of hate to use the adage of, working smarter, not harder, but it's really true. When you're a small team, you need whatever you can, whatever you can possibly have to give you an advantage. When it came to Kellogg's structures, we're fairly siloed. There isn't a lot of there hasn't historically been a huge amount of connectivity between teams. We're definitely doing a lot better at that now. A lot of that had to do with our siloed tools, right? So as you can see on this slide, in marketing, that's sort of where our content, our PIM, and our DAM lived. Our media agency was controlling a lot of our AMS. So, and then there were separate systems that our sales team is in, for looking for sales performance information. And then obviously we have separate tools that our supply chain and operations teams are using. Part of my remit was to ensure we have the right capabilities in Kellogg's, which has required us rationalizing as well as replacing some of the tools. But what's more important is, part of my remit is around automation. I think that might not be completely normal in all CPGs today, but I think it's something you're going to see. There are a lot of buzzwords around automation. So you'll hear a lot about artificial intelligence and machine learning. But ultimately, the goal for us from a standpoint of automation was to optimize how our teams are working. I go back to the comment about working smarter, not harder, and that's really true. So ultimately, after a year and a half of my being here and going through our capabilities, making changes, shifting strategy, we still have a number of different capabilities that exist across our teams, but we consider those to be the most important in running our online business. And ultimately, we're also starting to share more of that information across our entire team. So I would say ultimately, before Boomerang, it was difficult for the team to understand what activities were the most important to grow our Amazon business, and a lot of that had to do with this lack of connectivity.
Great, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, so I'm knowing that these the tools didn't talk to each other, and there were a lot of manual processes and team operating in silo. How would you maybe let's talk about how we would quantify the problem inside of Kellogg's?
So, and I think, I was going to say I think we're on the wrong slide, but that's okay. I think, the previously mentioned challenges, led Kellogg's, if you look at the slide, we were leaving some money on the table, right? Let's be honest. We knew there were issues across the business, but it was really difficult to address them in a straightforward manner. So, for example, when we look through these different examples that we have up here, we knew there was a big issue with 3P variants. And quite frankly, I think anyone in the CPG space knows that that's an issue for them today. But we had issues executing against them because we didn't really have a tool that could surface that in a way that was visual and easy to understand what you needed to go and do. So, having to try to go in and identify those identify that in data, getting the data you get out of your ARA premium in different reports becomes very, very time consuming and labor intensive. So, I would say we also didn't fully understand that the potential revenue opportunities that existed for examples like 3P variants, taking away sales. We knew there was a problem, but I don't think we could accurately quantify it. And, once you start to understand those issues, then I think it puts you in a very different place. It allows you to be more proactive, and it also allows you to make determinations on what the teams should be working on. I would say also, we've been looking for a tool that could really help us understand which of our products are at risk of going into crap. For those of you who don't sell on Amazon and don't know what that acronym represents, it really is, it's Amazon speak for can't realize a profit. It happens more frequently than most people realize, and ultimately it is a real problem for businesses who are one-piece sellers, because when an item goes into crap, it basically is no longer being shown on Amazon, so you're not selling it anymore. So you're now losing sales revenue. So we were looking for ways to address that, and Boomerang provides insights into the issue through their price compression strategy. So it's, Guru mentioned, I believe there are a little over 30 strategies running today. So this is one of their core strategies that we leverage. And it allows us to know which ASINs could potentially go into crap, so that we can actually work with our Amazon SVS and figure out ways that what can we do to stop that from happening? What's the problem? Is it a price that's being driven down from another retailer? Because we've seen that happen before, where someone will price something outrageously low, and as most people know, Amazon does not lead in price, they follow in price. So if you have a retail partner who decides to lower price considerably on something, Amazon's going to follow that. So those are the type of things that you need to be able to understand, so that you can actually spend the time going to Amazon and going to your SVS if you have one, and working with them on how to correct those issues. We're also leveraging their out-of-stock capabilities, or strategies, excuse me. And again, very relevant and very important to us. There are two different strategies. There's one for actual out-of-stocks and ones that are predicted to go out of stock. I would say from our experience so far, the predictive out-of-stock is probably our most important that we look at today. Again, this is very relevant to our supply chain and our marketing teams. So I'm sure most everyone on the line has at some point, if they're selling on Amazon, experienced ghost ASINs. When Amazon basically starts ordering a product, for example, that was previously obsolete in their system. The out-of-stock strategies help us identify when stuff like that starts to happen. We've definitely seen it on numerous different occasions, and it definitely causes issues internally. It's more of a disconnect with our supply chain and operations teams, and then there's just a lot of work going on internally to try to figure out why something's being ordered that doesn't exist. So, I would say the out-of-stock is incredibly crucial around that. And then also it helps us around what I would call catalog hygiene, so making sure that our catalog is up to date, making sure that we don't have issues in our catalog with Amazon. And then finally, marketing has been able to use this strategy to help optimize our Amazon search campaigns, which is crucial. So it's a newer use case for us, but it's something that we identified as a need. So we were ultimately having similar problems to many CPGs, where we accidentally were, running search campaigns against products that were out of stock. And ultimately, when you're looking at optimization of campaigns, that's something you have to solve for.
With that, Andrew, how did you, of all the tools out there, how and why did you narrow in on CommercelQ, and how did you go about making the decision? I'm sure many of us on the call can relate to the situation that you were in. So just would be curious on how you went about making the decision, given the plethora of tools out there.
I think part of the reason we made the decision was, part of my remit, as I mentioned, was automation. And to me, it was critical to start finding tools that would help us automate our internal processes, and really start to save time. So look, it's kind of twofold. The automation is very important, but it's not just around automation. It's also about providing insights that give the business value. So I look at this, when I look back at, a lot of the reporting we do internally, a lot of it shows, that XYZ SKU has gone down. We've seen a decrease in sales, but it doesn't tell you why. It doesn't give you and it doesn't give you options of how you could try to fix it. And one of the things that CommercelQ does is it does provide those sort of actionable insights. It will indicate that perhaps the issue you're having is around something being out of stock, or in the case of, it could even be that content has changed, as an example. So it gives you an actual insight, because then you know, if you're running the business, that I need to go back to the marketing teams and make sure the content gets updated. Why did it change? And that to me, at the time when I was looking, the only tool that I found that gave me that level of capability was Boomerang. I couldn't find any other tools that would give that for me.
Helpful. And Andrew, how did it all come together when you defined the problem statement? Curious how the world looks like a before, from a before and after standpoint.
So I would say that Boomerang has been instrumental in taking us on a journey from a more manual and siloed state that I think is very typical of many CPGs towards a more connected, automated, I'll call it a hub of sorts. We're looking for CommercelQ to serve as a dashboard for our team, or for our business, especially for our Amazon business, sort of a jump-off point, if you will. And one area I've been talking about with Boomerang, with Guru and his team specifically, is how we can integrate our other tools into this dashboard concept. So one of our users on our Amazon team can see something in Boomerang and then easily navigate from Boomerang to one of our other external tools. As I mentioned before, we're not going to be getting rid of tools, for example, like StevoStep, which is our PIM tool, or Salsify, which is our content syndication tool. We need those tools, but ultimately, when Boomerang identifies certain things and indicates a change needs to happen, someone may need to go into one of those tools to make the associated change. So that's ultimately what we're looking to sort of move towards. It's great, because ultimately all of our ARA premium data is automatically being pulled into CommercelQ. And we no longer need to go in and manually pull data in for reporting. In addition, we recently started feeding data back into CommercelQ, because we realized that if we started giving additional data back to the tool because of its, because of the algorithms that are running, it helps make CommercelQ even smarter, and it helps it be more relevant to our internal team. I would say having access to both Amazon and Kellogg's data allows the machine learning-based technology, to better translate the data into cross-functional strategies, delivering more relevant and prioritized recommendations and actions. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to get to here. I would say, ultimately the goal is really to provide each of our teams across sales, marketing, operations, and supply chain, their own view that shows their own recommendations and actions that are specific to their function. Well, we say we don't want silos, and I don't think this causes a silo. The reality is people have specific responsibilities, and this will help, in my opinion, better manage those cross-functionally. And in my opinion, it will also help bring the teams together even more. So that's kind of, how CommercelQ has helped take us from where we were in the manual, disconnected, siloed concept more to the connected, automated hub concept.
Great. And Andrew, to bring this to life, could you describe an example, perhaps, and take us through that?
Yeah. So, one area that we have really found, or one of the strategies that we have really found for us that's been great is the 3P variant strategy, right? I want to preface this slide just to be clear. You're not seeing any actual data for Kellogg. I made sure that this was sanitized, so you may see our products and names, but that's all that you're seeing here. But I would say that, this is one of our strategies that we are actively leveraging today. Like I said before, we recognize that this is an issue even before signing on with Boomerang. And again, we didn't really understand how big of an issue it was. Once we had CommercelQ in place, we quickly realized that we had a big opportunity around 3P variants. Initially, we identified those with the tool, and someone on our Amazon team then had to go into Vendor Central and fill out a manual form, which is not exactly the easiest thing to do. And quite frankly, 3P variants are found regularly. Like, this is something we check on almost a day-to-day basis. So taking that into account, we worked with Guru and his product team to enhance the product. And so it could actually automate the form creation for us for Vendor Central. So that now allows our catalog team that sits, or our Amazon team, our catalog manager that sits in our Amazon team, to quickly find and report 3P variants. This type of automation, I would tell you, was a huge win for Kellogg's. And it goes back to what I originally said around enabling our teams to work smarter, not harder. I think this is a great example of how automation can be used to scale, a specific type or task and improve a team efficiency. We're also working with Boomerang on several other areas where we think that there are possible opportunities for automation, to help us gain even further productivity. Ultimately, efficiency is one of the cornerstones of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and I would say it's also one of the cornerstones of Boomerang and CommercelQ. So in addition, though, I would say we've also looked at there are definitely other strategies that we found incredibly beneficial as well. As I mentioned, I would definitely say, the out of stocks, price compression, again, that sort of goes back to looking at products that are at risk of going into crap. We've also really started digging into some of the data and looking for potential correlations across different strategies, like, for example, a strategy they have called Price Wars. We're looking at that across other Kellogg's internal data to understand, is there an actual correlation? It gives us a more robust point of view on our overall e-com business in general, because you can use Amazon as a proxy for some things. So, it's incredibly relevant and can be leveraged more than just for Amazon.
And Andrew, we had a question come in just now regarding this topic. How does Kellogg remove the 3P variant if there is no IP infringement?
There are specific use cases. Look, ultimately, you have to be within the rights of you have to follow Amazon's rules as to how things can be removed. We're only removing 3Ps that can be, basically, is what that boils down to. You can't go in and just remove 3P because that's not how it works. But we address each one. What this does is it gives us a very easy way, and it surfaces it very quickly for us, so that our catalog manager can go in, make a quick review. If there's any issue, he automatically, creates that form now directly through Boomerang, and it's submitted directly through Vendor Central, and it's removed. But yes, you still have to follow the Amazon rules. I mean, we clearly can't take down all 3P. That does not work. So this is ultimately very much the use case of a 3P that's either infringing or has some other issue where we can legitimately have it removed.
Yeah, back to
and oftentimes, to be honest, we find that with images, for example. That's a huge reason we can remove them as an example.
Yeah, I think there's also rules that you can code, as Andrew pointed out, and some self-learning that the tool can do in terms of which 3Ps can or cannot be removed in what cases and all that, which really helps with that. And Andrew, I'll also mirror the point that you made that given that Amazon's such fast changing, and it's been just a pleasure to partner with Kellogg's, and the thought leadership that Kellogg has brought in has really helped. Is one of the ways that we love working with our customers. And I guess one of the advantages of being venture funded is that you have a lot of R&D investment that you can invest to really provide the right level of service that is needed to win in such a fast changing environment. So going to the next, would love to just talk a little bit about the business impact that this has had overall in your business.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, CommercelQ has really enabled our North America team to be more proactive in the day-to-day management of the business, right? I mean, that's the crucial and critical point. They're able to quickly get into the tool, look at the dashboard, assess what actions that they should be taking. One of the huge advantages, and this was an add-on, it wasn't there when we initially signed, but it was very fast follow-on because we were not the first people to request this, but Boomerang added a financial value that you can see to each one of these strategies. So you have an idea of where should you start first. So that really helped us significantly. It basically has taken something that really seemed overwhelming to the team and streamlined the process for them. So they can go in, they can look, they can say, okay, we are focusing on these 3 strategies today. These are where the highest revenue, opportunities lie. Let's go after those. And to both our Amazon lead as well as to me, that's really, what we were looking to accomplish. Ultimately today we're not using all the strategies in Boomerang, but I feel it's best for each company to determine which strategies are best suited for their business. Ultimately what works for Kellogg's may not work for another company, or what works in our category may not work in another category. Fundamentally that's why there are so many different strategies in the tool, and they're constantly adding more of them based upon customer feedback. When it comes to a capability like Boomerang, we're looking for its automation to help make our teams more efficient. Hate to say it again, but it's all about the working smarter, not harder concept. The insights being provided are both actionable and timely, and most importantly, the insights are really helping the team run their business more smoothly and effectively, and let them better allocate their time across the business and other opportunities within the business. And I think that's one of those critical factors that it's hard to find tools that really do that. And ultimately, I would say one of the core benefits is really helping to bring our sales, marketing, and operations supply chain teams together to discuss the strategies and plan against them. I can go back to that marketing team, what I mentioned earlier about our marketing team looking at AMS campaigns against out of stock. So that means now they're working much more closely with our supply chain team to understand, is this really going to go out of stock? Do we have some POs in that aren't seen yet? What's going on? It's critical to ensure we aren't, in that use case, that we aren't driving consumers to products that are, either out of stock currently or on the verge of going out of stock. I would say ultimately we have other examples where our teams are working closer, and more connected today because of the tool. It's just I think the example I gave probably hits home for a lot of 1P sellers on Amazon today. So that's sort of, why I'm going with that specifically. But overall, I would say, I can't quantify it or on this call, but I can tell you that yes, we do know that it results in a sales increase. We do know that it results in an efficiency increase. And we do know that it allows the team to better run their business. And I'll be very frank and honest. Our Amazon lead is 100%, she wants to make sure that we absolutely have this tool going into 2019. So to her, she definitely sees this as something critical to her day-to-day operations.
Great, thanks, Andrew. And that brings me to the Amazon lead of Kellogg's. Any other color that you would add in terms of feedback from the team, in terms of not just CommercelQ, but really bringing the teams together and automation that this drives?
Yeah, what I would really say is looking. I'm going to sort of relate this back to Boomerang in general as a company. So we have had a great relationship. I'm very happy with the relationship. Look, all of us on this call have different capabilities and tools and different vendors that we deal with. And some vendors are great, some vendors are not as great. I'm not naming any names. But I will tell you, our work with Boomerang, they have been incredibly receptive to ideas that we have. Kamala, who is our, her quote is right here on screen. She is our senior manager. She's our Amazon lead. And she, as she says right in it, it's truly partnership, right? And they help find solutions to our business needs and problems and incorporate them back into the tool. And that to me is incredibly important and incredibly valuable. And then, our Kashi lead, because our Kashi lead focuses strictly on pure play, so really a lot of Amazon. She focuses most of her day completely on Amazon. As she says right here, and she's 100% this is completely true. She has Vendor Central open, she has Amazon open, and she has CommercelQ open. And she can't say enough great things. Both of us, any of us actually, quite frankly, are incredibly impressed. Our supply chain team, we didn't have room for all the different quotes we could have added to it. So the reality is our supply chain team is very happy. Our Amazon team very happy. Our marketing team for Amazon is also very happy with what they're leveraging. So quite frankly, what I appreciate is the partnership.
Andrew, we have a question that comes in regarding this slide here. Can you describe the different types of intelligence or strategies you provide that are referenced on this slide?
I'm guessing that was for Guru.
Okay, Guru.
I can certainly take that. So in fact, that's a great segue to the next slide, which is Andrew talked about three or four really impactful strategies that they are leveraging. But I'd like to also helicopter up a little over here in sort of the study that we conducted earlier this year with about 30 plus consumer companies. We found that they're leaving money on the table for roughly about 23% of revenue on the table in not solving key issues in the Amazon business. And to address this, we launched 30 plus strategies. And these strategies include some of the following. I'm not going to go through the full list over here, but some of the most impactful ones have been around basket building, in stocks, and CRAP, as we talked about. Basket building is around how do you increase shopper basket size by adding add-on items or complementary items on top of SKUs which are already growing organically. That is, if a diaper ASIN is growing, can you add a wipes ASIN on the PDP and vary it? And can you do that programmatically and in a more real-time basis? That's added a tremendous amount, more than 5% increase in revenue in just a quarter in enabling that. And the second more impactful one of the more impactful ones is out of stocks. As you know that Amazon lays a very big emphasis on in-stock metrics, and having been at Amazon, it was always talked about as one of the key input metrics to measure any business, leave alone any brand. And that's something which we take to heart and really help our customers excel in by applying predictive analytics, not just a rear view mirror, but really looking forward and proactively moving marketing and promotion dollars and actions by varying SKUs and things like that in a very craftful fashion. We've seen an immediate bump of about 3%, and which is just accelerating for many customers because it's a flywheel where you improve some, Amazon feeds you back with more growth and all of that. And finally, some of the things that I would mention are around SKU exit and entry into search page. As you know, that's your modern shelf, and movements on that and really taking a good handle on that has improved revenues by over 2%. CRAP or price compression and on cart issues, SKU unavailability, that is again has helped in getting more than 1% back in growth. Overall, you see that it's not like a big bang silver bullet. You just do one thing and you get like a full 10%. That's not the case. Usually, and it's very typical that we would see that it's an addition, and since all of these things are very additive and brings more than 11-12% of growth if you're able to deploy a lot of these automation strategies. So that was sort of the overarching story on sort of a summary basis. We're happy to, and with every customer that we work, we customize, and as Andrew pointed out, we take pride in really customizing every single strategy or even launching new strategies to work with our customers. So finally, we're running out of time here, so I'd like to be respectful of everybody's time here and thank everyone for attending this. We'll be very happy to share the presentation materials. I know the CPGmatters team is going to do that, but happy to take any other follow-up questions. There are a few questions which went unanswered. We are happy to take those as well.
Well, we have time. We have time for one more, Guru, and I can give that to you right now. And it's a good one. How do your customers justify the investment for another Amazon tool like CommercelQ, given that they already have multiple tools?
Yeah, that's a really good question on that. There are a few things which have really helped. First of all, I completely agree, and we see this all the time, that there are a lot of tools. We are probably we look at ourselves as a third generation tool. The first generation was Excel. The second generation was just monitoring. But as you look at a leap that a company like Kellogg is making, is getting into the third generation, which really powers AI. But what is it really? How do you go back to your boss to make that case? Here are a few things to consider. One is that the existing systems of a traditional CPG company were for basic reporting and sharing analysis. We've seen that companies have needed a growth platform, which is what they have achieved in CommercelQ, that can really help them grow revenue and not just reports in providing automation. The second is, in addition, a lot of tools that companies have had are backward-looking. They tell you what happened. It's like reviewing a film at the halftime in a football game. A lot of these companies, forward-looking, need a system that could be really forward-looking and be predictive, and that provides recommended actions to take on the field of play, both offense and defense, given the fast-changing environment of Amazon especially. And finally, we've seen that CPG companies really needed to have an own control tower, an AI hub, that could connect sales, marketing, and supply chain teams to work together to make sense of solid information that is being given to drive revenue growth. So it's really summarizing it as going from reporting and analytics to really automation. The next is going from rearview mirror or reactive to predictive and proactive. And finally, a hub that really pulls all of these things together on this. So I would, having said that, if Andrew's still on the line, I'd love to just tee it off to him if he has any thoughts on the same topic.
Real quick, look, ultimately, whoever asked the question, I mean, look, it's a legitimate ask. In our case, I made sort of and I've said this to Guru before, so this is not something that they have not heard from me previously. I made a leap of faith in a way. I had the budget, and I hold the budget for the different tools, and I made the decision that this was something that we wanted to try it for this year and see if it worked out for us. I'll be very honest, and we actually, because of this tool, we actually made the decision to retire several other tools that we had because we felt like this was providing a much larger benefit to us than the other tools were. So that sort of helped and basically, definitely offset some of the cost. So I think that from that perspective, it was sort of a win-win. I guess in my case, I didn't have as hard of a time going to someone and saying, hey, I want to do this because I owned the budget that I used. But it was definitely a bit of a leap of faith. I knew we had been talking about, a couple different opportunities for Boomerang with Kellogg's, and I knew this was the right one. It was the right fit. And sometimes you just have to know that, and you just have to be willing to take that leap. So ultimately, I can say for us, it's been beneficial. It's worked, and, that's great. I can't tell other people how they have to go about, rationalizing another tool. I think part of it is learning what it can do for you and seeing if it can actually take place of tools you currently have and actually do something more. I think the automation component of it is very compelling. I think the machine learning, and artificial intelligence that drives it, again, very compelling because that's where we're headed. And I want to be with tools that are heading in the right direction, not leveraging capabilities that are antiquated.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you both, Andrew and Guru. That was excellent, information-packed session. Thank you both very much. And further questions can be directed to Guru. His email is on the screen.
Great. Thank you very much.